up, guys? Welcome back to Natalie's Reptile. Today is the host, Natalie. This is the co-host,
Kevin.
And this is our next co-host,
Our special guest.
Our special guest. And
what's his name?
Casper the Boopy Nose.
Casper the Boopy Nose? Well, Casper the friendly ball python, right?
Yeah.
He is a friendly guy, ain't he?
Yeah, he
is absolutely awesome.
Can they hold them boobies?
Yeah. So what's up, guys? As I'm sure you guys can tell from the sheer length of this video, this is one of the most extensive videos Natalie and I have done yet.
Yeah.
We've worked really hard on this one, haven't we?
Yeah.
But it's gonna be good.
And guys, guess what? I have another loose tooth.
She's got another loose tooth.
And look.
I remember Daddy always lost the front teeth first, and then you can't even talk right. We're actually shooting this video over the span of 2 days, so if you see us randomly change clothes, that's why. We're not magic, right?
Yeah.
The magic of editing.
Yeah. And guys, we're doing a snake right now.
We've got a snake as our co-host, but the video itself is for something else. Yeah. Today's episode is tips and pointers on how to socialize or tame your pet lizard.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Sound good. And as always, Natalie and I would also like to thank our newest subscriber, Julie W. Yeah. There was a lot of other people, but she was the only profile that we could actually see. And I mean, it is crazy how close we are to 100 subscribers.
Yeah.
Natalie and I sincerely thank each and every one of you for the support. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So today we are going to be going over some basic information, some enclosure tips, reading body language of your pet lizard, and then finally at the very end, we're going to be putting physical examples of us doing the things we're talking about here today with our pet lizards, the Nile monitor, Savannah monitor, and all them.
Yeah.
So we did want to mention that.
And the frilly.
And the frilly.
And
can't mention the other one.
What?
His video hasn't come on yet.
I mean my gecko.
And the gecko, yes. We can mention the gecko.
Yeah, but not the other one.
But we did want to mention to you guys that if you want to skip to the end to only watch the actual physical portion of these tips and tricks, you can certainly do so. All the information leading up to that is very important though, and it goes along with all of that. It's important to know why and how these methods work for the lizard. But if you guys are just here to see the actual tips and tricks, you can certainly skip to the end.
Yeah.
Natalie and I don't mind at all.
Yeah. And guys, you can see here, Casper is a very good boy. He's just chilling in our hand.
He is a very good boy.
And you can do this very easy.
Yes, very easy with him. And actually, to go along with what you just said, today's video is only on lizards. We do plan on doing a video down the road for snake handling. Yeah. So that video will be coming down the road. But today, it's all about lizards. Now, handling and taming techniques can most certainly depend on the species. For example, take a bearded dragon. Who is like already laid back, chill, and they're not generally aggressive. And compare that to like a Nile monitor, who is a little more temperamental, right?
Yeah. So
the techniques that we're going over can certainly be based on individual lizards, but it'll apply to all of them.
And today, Casper is a very special host today.
He's just joining, listening in, ain't he? There are two incredibly important factors that come into taming your pet lizard. One is time, and the other is consistency. Time is huge because it's a huge difference from when you first get a lizard and they're very wild, very crazy. He's yawning. But it can take a long time to tame a lizard. It can take a very long time to take a lizard that seems like you just got it out of the wild and turn it into like some of the videos that you see of like dog tame Savannah and Nile monitors. It takes a lot of time to do that. It's not something that just happens overnight. And consistency being that these tips and tricks that we're showing you guys, it has to be done on a consistent basis. It can't be something you do like once a month or every 3 months.
Yeah.
These are things you have to do with them on a daily, weekly basis.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
So a lot of the videos that you can find on YouTube of people taming out their pet lizards, a majority of them are of already tame lizards. Like we've seen a few on Nile monitors, and by the time they come around to making the video, the lizard's already tame. So they're giving you these examples of an already tame lizard. They do not go in depth of the sheer amount of time and effort those people have put into actually taming their lizard.
Yeah.
Because it's hard work, very hard work.
Yeah.
But if you want a Nile monitor that you can walk around on a leash and take around with us, you gotta put in the work. So what we mean by the importance of time and consistency is Natalie and I feel like lizards like Nile monitors and Savannah monitors get a really bad rap for being aggressive or mean. But you get people that don't work with them, don't try to tame them, and then after a year of not being handled and the lizard still being aggressive, they throw their hands up and they're like, oh, this is just a mean lizard. Nothing can be done. And that's not fair to the animal, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're not saying that, just as we did in the beginning, that there's not some lizard species that are a lot more aggressive than others. Comparing like the bearded dragon to, let's say, a Nile monitor. I mean, there's some lizards that you'll get, and I mean, they're super chill, super tame right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then there's other lizards that you will have to work with for a year plus to get them to the point that you're satisfied with it. That you can take them out of the enclosure and let them walk around without them either trying to escape, biting you, tail whipping you, or something like that.
Yeah.
But you've got to get them to that point of being tame.
Yeah. Even if they're like that big, you could get a ferret leash and it'll be just fine.
Yeah, I can't wait till our guys get a little bigger and then we can walk them around outside and stuff.
Yeah, but...
They'll love that, get some natural sunlight. But Natalie and I can both promise you that putting in that time, putting in that work, and at the end of the day, having a tame lizard is a huge feeling of accomplishment, and it's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
To see all that work you've done finally pay off.
Yeah.
It's awesome. But our point to all of that is there is no overnight trick that you can do that is going to make a lizard tame in a day or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anybody that tells you, oh, this trick is going to tame your lizard instantly is one, either showing you an entirely already tamed lizard, or they're only showing you the good parts of the video. And then outside of that, they're probably not too friendly.
Yeah.
You gotta show them the whole thing. Be open with it, right?
Yeah.
Alright, but you can tell Dad to get off his soapbox now.
I didn't get off his soapbox now.
What do you think are some benefits of having a tame lizard? Having a socialized lizard? What's some things you get to do with them when they're tame?
Well...
You can hold them without worrying about getting bit.
Yeah.
You can walk them.
And you can walk them. If they're way too small for that leash, you can't really put them on it.
Right, you gotta wait till they get some size on them, right?
Yeah. You have to put you have to do it like this to see if it's the same size.
Yeah, get a good leash on them so they don't escape.
Yeah.
But we've been to a lot of reptile shows where people like bring their Savannah monitor on a leash.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are like dog or cat tame, where people can come up and pet them and they don't hiss, they don't huff and puff, nothing.
Yeah.
That's the point we want to get our lizards.
Yeah, but Daddy...
What?
I wish we could bring one of them to a show, but
Well, maybe one reptile show we go to will bring him or the Nile.
But,
Remember the last one we went to over in Haverty Grace? The lady had that big old Nile monitor?
Yeah, but what if they fly in the car on the ride?
Oh, I have to drive extra safe.
Yeah.
Get him a seatbelt.
Yeah.
And a positive relationship can definitely go both ways with you and your lizard. As we said, I mean, it gives you a huge feeling of accomplishment, being able to have tamed something like a Nile monitor. You get to play with them, you get to hold them, and that's rewarding in itself. And
Yeah.
I love that.
And they can be really, really tame, like this.
Kind of like him. Yeah. Almost like a little puppy dog.
Yeah.
I mean, how does it make you feel that your Savannah monitor trusts you?
I feel really, really safe with him.
Do you?
Yeah.
And that's important. That's very important.
Yeah.
Now, I think it is also important to note that Savannah monitors, lizards, all that, they are not puppy dogs.
Yeah.
You cannot force a bond with them. They're not going to be all mushy over you as soon as you bring them in like a puppy. Borderline is you can't force a trusting relationship with them. Trying to force that is always going to take you 2 steps back. It never works out in the long run.
Yeah.
So you don't want to like force them to like you.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way.
Yeah. You just had to be really, really nice and not force them.
Right, exactly.
You had to feed them and pet them and hold them like this. And you have to just let them crawl if it's a lizard.
Exactly right. Now, Natalie and I also believe there's a very strong link between trust and respect with your lizard. For you to build trust with them, you have to respect them. And what do I mean by respect them? You have to respect them as an animal. They are a living, breathing animal just like us, right?
Yeah.
And especially as a parent, teaching my daughter how to respect these animals, to treat them right, to build that bond with them is incredibly important for even you as a parent to start teaching your kids that young.
Yeah.
What you do, girls? Now, lizards are incredibly intelligent animals. I think way more so than people give them credit for. Especially, I mean, we've dealt with mainly monitors, but I mean, just watching them think is so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like how he looks around and he's trying to figure out his surroundings and all that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But just watching them watch your eyes as you look around as they take everything in, just as over time, as they start to learn to trust you and they learn all these things with you, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Way more than people give them credit for.
Yeah.
When we bring up learning is they have to learn that when you stick your hand in their enclosure, you're not a predator, you're not going to hurt them. I mean, what do they think when they're new and you stick your hand in there?
They think that you are, but when you start holding them like this, they won't think you are.
But they think you're either going to hurt them or you're going to eat them at first, right? So you got to teach them to leave that mindset. And the best way to do that is to learn with them, to bond with them.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't to stress you out or make you worried when you're holding them, but some lizards can be very unforgiving animals. That something as simple as dropping them, something as simple as shutting their tail in the door, something as simple as that can ruin all of the trust, all of the bonding that you guys have worked up for. And not making mistakes like that, I think, go hand in hand with respecting them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. One huge aspect of lizard handling is confidence. Is being confident that when you go into the enclosure, confident to pick them up, because if you're shaking, if you're trembling and uneasy, it's going to make them uneasy, isn't it?
Yeah.
they're going to feel you like shaking and it's going to throw them off, right?
Yeah.
What do you think would make somebody uneasy about holding their lizard?
Getting bit.
Getting bit, that's a big one. So you are absolutely right about getting bit. And that is probably the number one reason people would lack confidence when getting their lizard out. And it's something that, yes, can absolutely happen. And I know you don't want to get bit by any of your lizards.
Yeah, or my snake.
Or snakes. And depending on the species, some bites can be way more serious than others.
Yeah, just like the falsie.
Yeah, but if you get bit by like a full-grown Nile monitor,
Yeah.
compared to like a baby gecko,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a world of difference.
Would it bleed good?
Between what we're gonna go over in the rest of this video, reading body language, respecting the animal, what we're gonna go over here is going to lessen your chances of actually getting bit. How to read them when they want nothing to do with you, they're already upset, and they don't want to be picked up. And like we said, respecting the animal.
Yeah.
Usually, a lizard will give you plenty of signs that they're going to bite you before they actually bite you, don't they?
Yeah.
They'll give you all the warning in the world. Now this also goes with confidence, but you're also going to want to do your best not to startle or scare them while you are holding them. For example, like waving your hand around in their face, making sudden movements, stuff that would scare them, right? You got to
Yeah.
do your best to avoid doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
You got to be nice and easy with them, right?
Yeah.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Once you've worked with your lizard for long enough, you'll slowly begin to learn their mannerisms. That, like when you look at your Savannah monitor, we've had him long enough that we can kind of read him and tell what his next move's gonna be, right?
Yeah.
But we'll
Because if a snake does his whole body X, that if he does like this, if he does like this,
and like the S pose.
yeah, with dust his head, that means he's not gonna strike. But if he does it with his whole body, he's gonna strike.
Probably. So that goes hand in hand. We'll get a little more into being able to read your animal when we get into body language. And then our last 2 points to basic info are both incredibly important. You already know what these are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So number 1 is reiterating consistency. Not a single one of these tips that we share with you guys are going to do any good if it's something that you plan on doing one time and then saying, well, that's it, that's all I could have done. These are exercises that you have to do with them on a daily, at the most weekly basis with them, right?
Yeah.
Consistency.
And guys, if they bite you like what I just said, you can't put them back.
Your lizard is not going to be receptive or willing right off the bat to any one of these exercises. These are something that you got to do constantly. I mean, we work with the Nile, the Savannah, all of our lizards on a daily basis, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Every single day we go through holding each and every one of them.
Yeah.
And snakes.
Yeah.
You got a lot.
Yeah.
Say, now we got a baby.
Yeah.
And number 2 is positive reinforcement, rewarding them for the behavior that you want. And what is the quickest way to a lizard's heart? Through their stomach. Exactly. So rewarding them for the behavior that you want by maybe giving them their favorite insect, their favorite food, or if they like coming out of the enclosure, giving them a few minutes or an hour to come out and roam around on their own. But that's positive reinforcement, rewarding them, right?
Yeah.
And now on to enclosure. Natalie and I thought it would be good to add a short portion in here on enclosure because it can absolutely be beneficial when it comes to taming your lizard. You got any ideas on enclosure? What will be good for positive interactions with your lizard?
Front opening.
Front opening. So like Natalie said, she's exactly right. Front opening enclosure is the most important. Do you remember why?
They think that's another reptile or another insect is gonna come and grab them and eat them.
Pretty close, you're right. But snakes, I would say more so than lizards, but a natural predator for them are like birds of prey, where they will swoop down in from above and like death grab them.
Yeah.
So front opening enclosure gives you the chance to put your arm out, extend your arm out to them on their level, so that you're not like swooping down and grabbing them like a predator would do.
Yeah.
Because then they could get defensive.
Yeah.
Don't want that.
Yeah.
But that front opening enclosure is a great way for them not to get spooked by you by unexpectedly getting grabbed from above. They can see you coming so that they're not like surprised when you grab them, but you're more on their level, which is huge for them. But you got to be on their level. It allows them to see you coming, and you're extending your hand out to them so that they can crawl into your hand, which is better for them.
Yeah.
Rather than what you and I call death grabbing them.
Yeah.
They don't like being death grabbed.
No. Just like my little gecko.
Oh yeah, she really don't like it.
Yeah.
And then not only front opening, but maybe something that is raised up to put them more on your level. So we understand this is easier said than done when it comes to like a large monitor lizard enclosure. You can't really stand that up on anything. But for like geckos, chameleons, bearded dragons, putting it on a stand.
One day we can get a chameleon.
Oh yeah, I'd like one.
Yeah.
But propping them up on like a stand, like your gecko's on a stand, so that she's more on your level.
Yeah.
And you're not like above her.
And we can get a fishy.
Get a fishy? Yeah, we can get some more fish.
And we can get some parrots.
Some parrots?
Yeah.
You would want a talking bird?
Yeah. We could leave it outside.
Can't do that. Not in the summer. They'd burn up, they'd fry. Now, it's also very important that with the enclosure, it's secure. Natalie and I have seen it time and time again where somebody will lose their snake, lose their lizard, and by the time they find it and bring it back, it's as if like all of that time that they spent bonding and training had just gone out the window.
Yeah.
When they bring them back and get them back in the enclosure, it's like they've digressed some. But I mean, this could be caused from a number of reasons. Maybe while they escaped and they were running around, they either got scared by another pet, a dog, a cat. Maybe they hurt themselves while they were out. Or I mean, the whole recapturing them thing it can be pretty traumatizing. Especially for an owner that's like desperate to get their pet after they escaped. Running after them, trying to grab them, and doing all of that. That could be pretty scary in itself, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that happening to me.
Yeah. But if you were my lizard and you tried to escape, I would have just been like...
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't be scared of you. But whatever the reason, it's not a good feeling bringing them back and it feeling like you had lost all that bonding and trust that you had built with them.
Yeah, look at a little smile.
Yeah, it does. So do yourself a favor, save the time and energy, save that bonding, and get a secure enclosure. Also with enclosure, you want to make sure that you're giving them time to adjust when you first get your animal, right?
Yeah.
So before you even start doing any of these pointers, before doing any of this stuff and handling them, you want to give them a few, like week to a couple weeks to, once you bring them home from the pet store, reptile show, whatever have you, you want to give them some time to adjust to their new enclosure. They're already kind of on edge from being brought from one place to another, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would make me kind of uneasy. That'd be like throwing me into a whole new place. Kind of scary. So you definitely want to give them time to settle in. We get it that getting a new gecko or something is like, I just want to hold him. He's so cool. but you gotta give them that time to settle in.
Then they'll think that you just got them and you put them in a new place, grab them from the place that they came from, put them in a new place, and grab them, and then put them in a new place.
And that whole thing's pretty stressful.
Yeah.
And this is really true of any type of lizard, is do yourself the favor and buy the full-sized adult enclosure at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So the one that they're gonna grow up as an adult in. Don't do the whole, I'm going to upgrade them as they grow, as they get bigger, we'll do the bigger enclosures as they grow. Save yourself the time and money and buy the full-grown enclosure right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's best for them.
And guys, when I got this tooth loose, it's been hurting.
It's been hurting.
Yeah, and it's been swelling my mouth.
Has it? Well, we're gonna have to pull it out.
Oh!
Getting switched from enclosure to enclosure can be stressful. They're getting comfortable in one enclosure just to be picked up and to be thrown in a whole new enclosure. They're losing that comfort of getting used to the enclosure, knowing all the hiding spots, knowing where they want to be, and then getting picked up and thrown in a whole new enclosure.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty stressful.
Yeah.
We'll use our Nile monitor as an example. Natalie and I had made a lot of progress with our Nile monitor. He was in a smaller grow tent until we moved him to a bigger one, and it was like we had made some serious strides with him. We had done a lot of work with him, and he was really coming around, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And it was like as soon as we moved him into the new enclosure, ever since that, he's bitten me a couple times. He's still coming around, and it's a little easier than it was at first when he was in the other enclosure. But again, save yourself the time and just get the adult enclosure without having to switch him around.
Yeah.
Saves you that bonding.
Yeah. Dad.
What?
Love you.
Love you too. This isn't the end of the world either. Since getting him in the new enclosure, we've still made a lot of progress with him. But again, we would have never had to do any of that if we hadn't had to switch them and do all of that. Again, it's something that they're comfortable in, grow in, and it's their home, right?
Yeah.
We would also recommend that, like we were saying for a monitor lizard, a bigger enclosure, that if you are going to have it ground level, don't let other pets like cats and dogs constantly walk by their enclosure. Especially as babies, they can absolutely see a cat or a dog as a predator, something that's going to eat them.
Yeah.
And to see that predator walking back and forth past your enclosure day in and day out,
Yeah.
I mean, that's eventually going to spook them. You know, we can't say what it is, but you know our one lizard that is new? And every time Riley or Bella even walks past outside of the door, he flips.
Yeah.
He flips it. And on to our final point of the enclosure is actually the room outside of the enclosure. But if you do plan on handling them in a specific room or letting them walk around in a specific room, make sure that it's either clear or anything that's in there that could possibly hurt them is picked up. And also make sure that that room is escape proof.
Yeah.
So kind of like when we let the Savannah and then walk around in that one room, we put a towel in between the crack of the door so they can't escape.
Yeah.
But just make sure that it's escape proof and there's nothing on the ground that can actually hurt them. And now on to body language. Body language is incredibly important in 1, keeping you from getting bit, and 2, building a bond through respect. 2 really big things, right?
Yeah.
Body language, that's basically just watching what they do. It is, in sense, basically understanding their modes. The 3 modes are a feeding mode, where they think they're getting fed, a defensive mode, or the fight or flight mode, and then a relaxed or calm mode, interested or inquisitive mode. But it also helps you understand why they may be getting defensive or aggressive, right?
Yeah.
Because you know what to watch out for.
Yeah.
You know if he's huffing and puffing and hissing, what mode is that probably?
The defensive mode?
Defensive mode. When it comes to body language, that can absolutely depend on the type of lizard. For our video, when we go over body language, we're going to be mainly speaking about monitor lizards. However, some of these things that we go over can be more widespread around all lizards, but particular examples that we give here are going to be specific to monitor lizards only. But they'll even apply, some will even apply to like geckos, chameleons, bearded dragons. You like all those things, don't you?
Yeah. And I like parrots.
Parrots? Birds?
Yeah.
Snake Discovery has parrot. I'll show you that video later.
No, I saw a parrot before.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Theirs is really cool, really pretty.
Yeah.
So let's talk about defensive body language. That's going to be things like hissing, huffing and puffing, taking a stance to make themselves look bigger. Like sometimes your Savannah monitor, if he's not having it, he'll turn his body like sideways and puff his stomach out to make himself look bigger. So that's what that means. And then the more obvious things like trying to tail whip you or biting. Those are probably the two biggest ones.
Yeah. The thing that I do not want is biting and slapping you in the face.
Getting tail whipped.
Yeah.
Well, luckily we haven't had that happen yet.
And in the eye.
Oh yeah, that would hurt. Especially like the Nile monitors, how thin their tail is. That'd be like getting hit by a whip.
Yeah.
Bad news. And then there is like tense or scared body language. In this mode, antagonizing them or messing with them can absolutely push them over into a defensive mode. This is going to include things like bolting or running away, no tongue flicks, like they're not flicking their tongue, they're not inquisitive, they're not flicking their tongue at all, or it's very, very sporadic. They'll also do things like they'll put their head to the ground, or a more common one that we've seen is he'll like flatten out his body and he'll like put his belly right on the ground and then defecating, pooping on you, which Dad hates that.
Yeah.
I hate reptile poop.
Do you like chameleon poop?
They're reptiles. I don't like any of their poop.
Do you like unicorn poop?
If it's the marshmallow kind. And then there is good, like relaxed or inquisitive body language. And that's the body language you want to see. That's going to include like a consistent tongue flicking, like they're flicking their tongue a lot.
Yeah.
They're exploring things by just walking around. They're not bolting or sprinting anywhere. Their tail will be uncoiled because if they're in a defensive mode and they're going to tail whip you, their tail is usually coiled. But the good position would be like uncoiled, just laying there with their legs kind of sprawled out. Like they're not tense with legs and arms close to their body. They're kind of just spread out, sprawled out. They're kind of just like checking out things on their own terms, right?
Yeah.
Like just letting them walk around on their own.
So he's gonna walk around, not sprinting, and they can be really, really scared. And if you like go in from the top, they can really, really get sprinting.
And you'll know he's relaxed if he's not like trying to bolt away from you, right? These are all things that you're going to want to keep your eye on when interacting with your lizard, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And they can be really, really, really frustrated.
As we mentioned of how intelligent they are, they're also going to have their eye on you, watching your body language, watching where your eyes are looking. Kind of like our one lizard where he just kind of judges you, right? He just looks at you disapprovingly.
Yeah. He's like, I do not know what's going on today.
And our last point to body language, and this is definitely specific to really monitor lizards.
Yeah.
Because some lizards don't even flick their tongue.
Yeah.
Geckos, bearded dragons, they don't do this. But the tongue flicks are especially important with taming. is because the tongue flicks can really indicate what type of mood they're
And
in.
guys, look on Daddy's belly.
So we got him. We got one of our lizards.
Yeah. I know we did a snake in the last one, but it's a good reason now that we're holding a lizard.
Because we're doing lizard handling, right?
Yeah, not snake handling.
If they are like consistently flicking their tongue, you're seeing a lot of tongue flicks with them. They're being exploratory, they're kind of interested in everything, just checking everything out.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see.
Yeah, and monitor lizards do that, and geckos don't do that, but
Yeah, geckos don't flick their tongue like
Yeah.
him and the Nile monitor do.
yeah. This is a cameraman, and he's a very hard worker.
He's a very hard worker.
Yeah.
He's our cameraman.
Yeah, and a very hard worker.
And he does a good job, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he deletes all my videos.
All of our mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And he's very good at his job.
Yeah, he's a very hard worker.
That's right. However, if they're not doing this, or the tongue flicks are like very sporadic, or you notice that they're shutting down, where they're putting their head to the ground, they're not really moving around,
Yeah.
this isn't what you want to see. This is more like scared or tense behavior. Because in their thought process, they're saying, well, maybe if I hold perfectly still, the predator, which is you, the owner, especially as babies, they think that they'll either just get bored with them and leave them alone, or that they'll forget that they're even there.
Yeah.
So they'll either hold perfectly still, not flicking their tongue, and that's not what you want.
Yeah.
You want to see them a little more exploratory.
Yeah, and guys, if their tongue was out and they were doing this, and then you would know if they're dead. Then you would try and poke them, and then you would think that he's dead.
Kind of like the hognose snake when they play possum.
Yeah.
You've seen those videos where the hognose snakes, you just touch them and they flip over on their back and play dead.
Yeah.
Those are funny.
Yeah.
And finally, in this video, on to the actual tips and tricks.
Yeah.
And we're going to show them at the very end of this, right?
Yeah.
So in this part, we're going to share the actual tips and tricks. And then, like we said at the very end of this video, if they want to skip to that part, that's going to be us physically doing these tips and tricks
Yeah.
with our lizards.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Good, and we can kind of do it with a gecko and a monitor lizard.
We can.
Yeah. But
And then 2 quick things before we get into that. 1, always wash your hands before handling them.
yeah.
The last thing you want is to handle them with the smell of their food, like if you were preparing a pinky or a mouse or something like that. Make sure you wash your hands. They will smell that on your hands. Way to go as far as to recommend when you are handling them, don't have any food item in that room that you plan on handling them.
Yeah.
Because they're going to smell it in the air.
Yeah.
And number 2, always announce your presence. You can really scare them if, like, you lifted up the rock and he was sleeping under the rock.
Yeah.
To just get grabbed and wake up to being grabbed and picked up that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So whether it's like knocking on the enclosure or making some noise before you go in there, petting them to wake them up before they go in there,
Yeah.
always announce your presence. Don't catch them off guard. They will get defensive from that.
Yeah.
Don't want that.
Yeah. If you do this, wherever they are,
And you'll set off the dogs.
yeah, that's it.
But that's especially if they're sleeping. You could do something like rustle the plants around,
Yeah.
just talking to them, like just talking really loud. That'll usually wake them up.
Yeah.
But there's nothing better than getting grabbed while you're sleeping and woken up to some giant us picking them up, right?
Yeah.
That could be scary.
But if you pet them like this, and then you do this, and then put them on there, that'll make them think
Yeah,
that.
because then they're awake and they're aware.
Yeah.
Oh, and we did forget one. Number 3 is don't feed them and then immediately handle them.
Yeah.
That is a good way that you will get bit. You
Yeah.
need to differentiate the handling time and feeding time.
Yeah, so if you're already in a spot with them, you have to stay and feed them where you are with them.
Right, and if you're feeding them, like let's say you were feeding him mealworms,
Yeah.
you don't want to feed him mealworms and then go putting your hand in front of him, especially with your tiny hands.
Yeah.
You don't want to go putting your fingers in front of his face and doing all that, because he'll look at your fingers as either mealworms or he'll still have that scent of the food.
Yeah.
So that is very important with them, is you need to differentiate handling time and feeding time.
Yeah. So you need to hold them fast if you want to, and then if you feed them, you have to let them digest your food a little bit.
Alright, so you ready to get on to the actual tips?
Yeah.
So tip number 1, and probably the easiest one that there is just being present. So being present means what? That's just being there, being around them, letting them see you. There's an old adage when it comes to lizard taming. It's talk, touch, hold. Start off with them just getting used to you, used to your presence. This may sound silly, but something that Natalie and I used to do is we would just sit by the enclosure and just talk to them.
Yeah.
It could be anything. We're talking to them about our day or just nonsense, but they're getting used to you being there, your presence, smelling you, hearing you. But that's the main thing, is they got to see you and realize that you're not a threat.
Yeah.
You basically just sit there with them, talk to them, do a project, read a book, but just sit there with them while they're just chilling in the enclosure, doing their own thing. Because there's plenty of times that when you first get a lizard, they're just going to be bolting from you whenever you go in there to try and hold them.
Yeah.
So it's best to start by just getting them used to your presence, used to you being there, used to hearing your voice, your scent, and while they just chill in the enclosure and do their own thing, right? And they're usually very good listeners because they never talk back, right?
Yeah.
Right. Tip number 2 kind of goes with that, is get them used to your scent. This is a great way for them to differentiate when they smell your hand compared to when they're smelling food.
Yeah.
No edible pinkies, right?
Yeah.
No
But
edible pinkies.
But guys, if they're this tiny and they have short nails, you can't clip their nails.
Yeah, that's very hard to do when they're tiny.
Yeah, because look how tiny his little fingernails are.
Yeah, that'd be very hard to clip.
Yeah, because then you accidentally clip his skin.
Yes, and you don't want that. That will get them defensive immediately. But the absolute best way to do this is to wear some type of clothing or put some type of clothing in the enclosure with them.
Yeah.
So that could be anything from a glove, a sock, or something like that. Putting it in their enclosure.
But just don't do it with a short.
Well, I mean, you can use a shirt, but it's just something with your scent on it.
Yeah.
The other thing is you don't want to put it in or around their hides. Just in a place that they'll go through and they'll smell it.
Yeah.
Because what the hide is for is to essentially get away from you if they're scared, and that kind of defeats the purpose if they run into their hide and your scent, your presence is still there, right?
Yeah.
So you got to put it somewhere in the enclosure. It can really be anywhere, but away and not in their hides.
Yeah.
What Natalie and I do is we simply took a glove. She had her glove, I had my glove, and...
You had a sock.
Oh yeah, I only had a sock. But she took a glove, I took a sock, and we went outside for a few minutes, did some yard work, did some stuff around the house, and then we came back and put those in their enclosure. But that's a great way of doing it.
Yeah.
But they probably think mine stink.
Yeah. Because you probably wore that like a month.
Probably.
Yeah.
And tip number 3, and probably the most commonly used, is Tong feeding. So this is an absolutely great way for them to see you as their provider of food rather than a threat, and rather than seeing you as food. right?
Yeah.
Do you remember what we said about what the quickest way to a lizard's heart is?
No.
Is through their stomach. So being that provider of food, giving them treats, giving them their food, and tongue feeding them absolutely helps them to build a bond and trust with you. Because eventually you'll be feeding them from the tongs and they'll realize that you're just feeding them. You're not attacking them, you're not grabbing them, you're not doing anything like that. You're just simply feeding them.
Yeah. Just like him.
Just like him. This works especially well with like skittish or flighty lizards. Kind of like how the Nile monitor was when we had opened the enclosure. I mean, he would book it anywhere he could. Enticing them with food on those tongs is a great way to slowly get them out of their shell.
Yeah.
To kind of open themselves up in the enclosure to come get the food.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We also think it's important to mention that tongue feeding is a whole process in itself. A new lizard is not going to be too apprehensive of eating food off a giant metal object.
Yeah.
This is something that you are going to have to do consistently every day with them.
Yeah.
Some days they may eat like 1 or 2 items that you try tongue feeding them. Other days they'll want absolutely nothing to do with it, they'll run away, but you have to, in a way, hold your ground and not give in to just tossing the crickets in the enclosure.
Yeah.
You want to try and get them to tongue feed,
Yeah.
but you'll have to, again, consistency and time are huge when it comes to that.
Yeah. If they don't eat it at all, you need to put it in their enclosure.
You have to give them food, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And do you remember when we first tried tongue feeding this guy? He was like, he would not do it. But slowly over time, tell everybody how good he is at tongue feeding now.
He eats pretty good.
I don't think he would eat anything not on tongs.
Yeah.
I like people that feed me.
Yeah.
So another great way to use this as a trust builder is to not only feed them from tongs, but leading them to climb on your hand, climb on your arms, or climb anywhere on you to come get the food. It's basically slowly leading them out. We do it all the time with the Nile monitor, but we'll slowly lead him out and have him climb up Daddy's arm or over my hand so he can eat.
Yeah.
And that kind of reinforces the idea that I can touch this thing to get my food and it's not going to hurt me. It's not going to kill me. It's not going to try and eat me. So that is a great way to build that trust.
Yeah.
But again, we did include a video at the end here where we did exactly that. We have the Nile monitor come out of his shell, climb up on my arm, and come eat off of me.
Yeah.
So that is an excellent way to build trust.
Yeah.
Tip number 4 is a 2-parter. Tub exercises.
Yeah.
We do this a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
A lot. The first part of this is actual water exercises. Natalie and I would absolutely say that this is not for all lizards. It's basically where you fill the tub up just deep enough that they can't touch the bottom so that they swim, and you basically extend your arm out into the water as a safety raft for them, a place that they can climb on and rest.
Yeah.
Now what we mean by not all lizards is the Nile monitor loves to swim, but it's not something that I would try with like geckos, chameleons, or anything like that.
Yeah, but you can try. Hey, Daddy.
But there's a lot of aquatic monitor lizards.
You can try with frogs.
Oh yeah, definitely frogs.
Yeah. They like water.
They do. In this exercise, you basically extend your hand out into the water so that when they need a place to rest or to feel secure, get themselves up out of the water, they're basically using your hand as a life raft.
Yeah.
And it teaches them that they can use you as a safe place. The Nile monitor loves swimming though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's hard to get him to do it sometimes.
Yeah.
He just wants to swim. And he looks like the alien in the Alien movie when he swims.
Yeah.
It's funny looking, ain't it?
Yeah.
Once they crawl onto your hand, you basically just let them chill on you.
Yeah.
So that he's like sitting there, sometimes they'll let you pet him. Now the second part to the tub exercise is open to all lizards. You can do this with any lizard.
Yeah.
But it's basically where you just sit in the tub and just chill with them. Let them crawl around on you, let them get down into the tub if they want.
Yeah.
But just like we do when we sit in the tub and we let them crawl from me to you.
Yeah.
The now monitor, he likes the high ground, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He climbs straight up on our heads, and that's where he'll sit.
Yeah.
What this simply does is it gives them the opportunity to chill with you, to crawl around on you while you just sit there with them. And the reason we choose the tub is because a lot of lizards will just leap right out of your hands. But if you're just sitting there in the tub, it's a very short fall for them.
Yeah.
And second is, unless you're talking like a really big lizard, they're probably not going to be able to escape out of the tub. They won't be able to reach out of it. So it's a good place to give you a peace of mind that they're not going to leap off and hurt themselves or leap off and escape.
Yeah.
So 2 pluses.
And that's why we shut the door.
Right, we put that towel under the door.
Yes.
So you can't crawl under it.
Yeah.
The reason we choose to do this exercise is because a lot of lizards are very quick. Take, for example, the frill dragon. I mean, he's very quick. He'll leap right out of your hands and not even think twice about it, right?
Yeah.
And with a lizard like that is very quick or very flighty, it's hard sometimes to not like death grab them.
Yeah.
Or you have to, for example, the Savannah monitor will just chill right here in your hand.
Yeah.
That frill dragon, if I left an open hand like this, or even the gecko, they would just take off right out of your hand and they'd hit the ground.
Yeah.
So it gives you the opportunity to hold them without death grabbing them, to let them just walk around on their own terms, right?
Yeah, but guys, if you do this and then don't put your hand out, he'll leap right off.
You could. That's especially true of like very quick lizards. The frill dragon, the Nile monitor, the gecko, but they're very quick and very flighty. The reason you feel like you have to death grab them is because you do. You have to hold them in place because it will feel like they're just gonna leap out of your hands. And a lot of them absolutely will leap out of your hands.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to get away from you.
But guys, these guys don't, and
Yeah, he's very, very chill. This is why we highly recommend holding them or letting them do this in the tub, is because we would also recommend that if it's not in a tub, in a closed room that they can't escape, maybe while you're sitting down rather than standing up holding them.
yeah.
Because at least if you're sitting down and they leap out of your hands, they're most likely not going to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Like if you were daddy and I was standing up and that frill dragon jumped out of my hands, that could easily break his legs. Easily.
Yeah.
So at least in the tub, it's a short fall. If you're in a closed room sitting down, it's a short fall. Or just over something soft.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
if they do, they're cushioned.
Yeah.
Alright guys, and that does it for the tips and tricks. We do have 2 final thoughts on that, however. One is a lot of lizards like being eye level with you. They like being at least eye level to you. They don't like something towering over them or anything like that. So the more you can hold them to eye level, you'll see a lot of people do this. If the reptile's feeling skittish or something, they'll hold it above their head. And I think that's a big reason why the Nile monitor goes straight to the top of our head.
Yeah.
Is it gives them the high ground, they're not being towered over or anything like that. So he
Yeah.
probably feels a little safer.
Yeah.
And our final thought is getting bit. I don't think there is anybody in the hobby that goes out and says, man, I really want my pet lizard to bite me. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
However, if you've been in the hobby long enough, 99.9% of the people that deal with reptiles have been bit by a lizard or snake at some point or another. I can guarantee it.
And they were like, wow.
Probably not, depending on what bit them. If a YouTuber or somebody tells you that they have never been bit by a reptile, they are either one, not being honest, or two, they have never dealt with any type of aggressive species, like now monitors, tree boas, anything that has anything that has like an aggressive reputation that comes with it. They've probably only dealt with like your ones that come out pretty much dog tame.
Or chameleons.
Chameleons are usually laid back, depending on which kinds.
Yeah.
I like chameleons though.
Yeah, one day we are gonna get a chameleon and we'll do videos with it.
I think so. The truth is getting bit kinda comes with the territory. Don't let getting bit knock down your confidence, make you feel any less capable of holding your reptiles, being a good owner or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it happens to the best of them. It absolutely happens to the best of them.
Yeah, but you have to be a good owner to them.
Yes, you do. But even very good owners can get bit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you're a bad owner just because you got bit, right?
Yeah.
The other truth is getting bit by a lizard is most likely not going to kill you.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, depending on the species, the severity level can change. Yes, some lizards' bites are going to be more serious than others. And it also depends on the size of the lizard and how old the person handling them is.
Yeah.
So if I got bit, it's probably not going to do much damage.
Yeah.
But if you get bit and you're a lot smaller, it could be a lot more severe on you than it would be me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The only exceptions we would make to this are obviously venomous snakes. A venomous snake bite can absolutely kill you.
Yeah.
And I would say possibly like a crocodile monitor.
Yeah.
You remember when we did the croc monitor?
Yeah.
How big they get and what their jaws look like?
Yeah.
A bite from one of those could do some serious lacerations, some very bad lacerations.
Would it make some really bad damage?
Yeah, like you're most likely not getting around a hospital trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, a bite from your gecko is not going to kill you. A bite from your chameleon is not going to kill you. A bite from your tegu is not going to kill you. A bite from this little guy is not going to kill you. A bite from a full-grown Nile monitor most likely is not going to kill you.
Yeah.
Unless you're that one guy that had 7 full-grown Nile monitors living in his house outside of an enclosure.
Yeah.
I remember that. Can it do some pretty severe damage or leave some pretty severe lacerations? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is why I teach Natalie at a very young age, especially while our Nile monitor is still as small as he is, about respecting that animal. You need to absolutely respect that animal because of what it could do to you if it bit you.
Yeah.
And then by the time that Nile monitor is full grown, I'm going to either be 100% certain that he will not bite you, or if there is any doubt, any hesitation, Natalie simply will not hold him.
Yeah.
Because I do not want you getting bit by a lizard that big.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't want to either.
Yeah. If he got that big, I would say, Daddy, I'm out. I'm never gonna hold him.
And our final point to getting bit is 1, you should not immediately put them back in the enclosure if you do get bit. And 2, you should not try to pry them off if you do get bit.
Yeah.
Because if this guy latched on and you tried to pry him off, you could do way more damage to a tiny lizard like this than he could you if you tried prying his mouth open.
Yeah.
As far as why you wouldn't want to put them directly back in their enclosure, is you are basically reinforcing that idea in their head that, hey, all I gotta do is bite this thing and it does what I want. It puts me down, it puts me back in the enclosure.
Yeah.
And that strengthens that idea that to get what they want, all they have to do is bite you.
Yeah.
So if you do get bit, you kind of just gotta wait it out until he lets go, but you don't want to put him right back at his enclosure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because that would make him angry.
If you try prying him off?
Yeah.
Yeah, could you imagine shoving something in his mouth, trying to open his mouth?
Yeah.
He would not like that.
Yeah.
You just gotta roll with the bite.
Yeah.
Easier said than done though, right?
Yeah. You're not gonna wait until they let go, and if they let go and it bleeds, you would just have to put a towel over it or anything like that, and then...
Or if it's bad enough, go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Alright guys, and that does it for our explanation on everything.
Yeah.
In this very final part, we are going to show you guys in action these exercises that we've went over with you here today.
Yeah.
With our lizards.
Yeah.
Remember all the things we've done with them?
Yeah.
So that's going to be the final piece. If you guys want to stick around after, we'll see you for the conclusion.
Yeah.
For this part of the taming portion, I guess you would say, is we just sit here and chill with them. Let them hear our voice, right? Let them hear our voice. Let them walk around while we just chill with them. Say, hey, buddy. Say, hey, buddy. But what do we do sometimes? We just sit here and talk to them.
Yeah.
Tell them hi. You can tell them all about your day. And tell them about all your friends at Melmel's.
Hi, buddy.
Just say, how you doing?
How you doing, buddy? So these guys are really intended, and they can run really, really quick. So you gotta be careful with them.
Yeah. Especially when it gets
Should
like...
I give him a spray down?
No, not yet. We'll give him one after. But we just let him walk around, do his own thing. If he wants to come over and check us out, he can. I think usually he's more interested in food though, right? But he's cool. I love this guy. See, but now we'll just sit here, put her hand in the enclosure. We'll sit here and hang out with him. We'll let him do his own thing, right?
Yeah.
He's just watching you.
Hey guys, look, we have moss in here.
Moss.
See?
It's a lot of
And this
moss.
is what we were doing the last day. Look at his enclosure.
Oh yeah, when we built his enclosure.
Yeah. So we are kind of showing his enclosure, but it's actually showing him.
But this is kind of exactly what we want. Because how we would like by the now monitors, he would like book it and run.
Yeah.
But he's just sitting there chilling, watching you. Make sure you're not going to try any funny business. Just to make sure you're not going to eat them.
Yeah.
But he'll watch her. She like messes around with the substrate. I'll just sit there and watch her. He is such a good boy though, ain't he?
Yeah. He's looking at my pinky.
See, those are my fingers, not edible pinkies.
Yeah, those are my fingers, not my little pinkies.
He only gets insects though anyway.
Yeah.
He might mistake them for a mealworm.
Yeah, but I'm not a mealworm.
You're not?
No.
That's weird. But one of the main things Natalie and I wanted to show you guys here is the importance of when you get lizards like now monitors, how important it is to start them off in what is going to be their adult enclosure. Because we had Charmeleon here in a much smaller enclosure, and we upgraded him to this. And I mean, we have made a lot of progress with him starting off, even when he was in that. And I mean, we have made a lot of progress with him. However, since moving him over into his new enclosure, it's almost as if all of that just went out the window. So I mean, it is incredibly important when it comes to taming them that you start them off right away in their adult enclosure. because when you switch them consistently or constantly over into a new environment, time and time again, they've got to readjust to that, and it's like it just backtracks on everything that you've done with them prior. So don't make the same mistake that we did, and if you're going to get like an owl monitor, Savannah monitor, any monitor lizard really, start them off in the adult-sized enclosure that they're going to be in as adults. And then you don't have to worry about things like that. But this right here, I wanted to show you guys like how much, because like we said, a lot of those channels that show you guys taming monitor lizards, they're already tame. And they're just pretty much going through the motions of showing you what they do with the tame lizard. So I mean, you guys are really starting at the beginning point with us when we show you guys how to bond, tame, and handle lizards.
But as you guys can see here, he's awake. He's looking at me, but he's not flattening his body, tensing up, or anything like that. Something very good to keep an eye on is the legs too. How his legs are just kind of sprawled out, and he's just kind of relaxing. He's not flicking his tongue, which doesn't always necessarily mean they're tense, but he's just not curious and whatever's going on. He's honestly just closing his eyes, just laying here. But if he was defensive or getting defensive, you would see his legs kind of like cocked back, not sprawled out like that.
There you are. What's up, buddy? What's up, bud? You can see him flattening his body out there. And a little hissing. So when he's in like a defensive posture like this, flattening his body, huffing and puffing, I'm not really going to get him out. Hey, buddy. I'm basically just going to sit here with him and just hang out with him for a little bit. Leave him alone, but just get him to notice my presence. That I'm sitting here with him, not messing with him, not doing anything like that, but he can hear my voice and get my scent.
Boom. Hey, buddy. What's up, buddy? This is a good example of them shutting down. Not necessarily napping, not chilling. He's got his one eye open while his other eye is closed shut. Which may make you think, oh, he's chilling, he's sleeping, he's taking a nap. Well, he heard the dogs barking out in the backyard, and he's kind of on alert. He's not really relaxed. His legs aren't spread out like they should be. He's on alert. So we got watermelon today, guys. Watermelon. But do you remember the part that we talked about, like getting our scent on stuff and then putting it in their enclosure so they can get used to our scent? You can tell everybody, I mean, that's as simple as what Natalie and I will do
is she'll wear a glove after she's done eating watermelon. But she'll wear a glove. I can't find my gloves, but I'll just put a sock over my hand. You want to show everybody? I want to show everybody how to do it. But it's as simple as just putting a glove on. We'll go, oh, you got it. We'll go around the house, do some stuff out the yard, wear it for like maybe 20, 30 minutes. And Dad will wear a sock on my hand because I can't find my gloves. I can't use one of the socks I'm wearing on my feet though, right? Because it would be absolutely toxic. It would probably kill them.
Yeah.
With how bad they smell, right? Yeah. But it's as simple as getting your scent on some clothing and then just placing it in their enclosure. Like we said, we'd recommend not anywhere near or inside a hide because that's where they essentially go to get away from you. So I wouldn't put it in their hide, but just somewhere in the enclosure, right?
Yeah, like out of the hide.
Exactly.
And guys, look, there's Bella.
Bella girls!
Yeah!
Hi, Bellers! And then all Natalie here is going to do is she's just going to go ahead and put those articles of clothing in the enclosure. Remember, not in places that he hides. So he likes to hide under that rock. So not under the rock. Or anywhere near the rock.
So where do I put it? Like back there?
Yeah, like how about we do one just over here where he likes to climb up from the thing. Yeah. And then if you want to put a sock back there, that'll work. Perfect.
Now we can keep that there for a couple months, right?
Yeah, till it starts to lose its scent. Then we'll rewear it. But I say it's as simple as that, guys. Just letting them get used to your scent, and you really don't have to do anything.
Yeah, and now we don't have to keep our hand in there for months.
Yeah. Or I could let you live in here.
Okay.
No. Alright guys, so what we're going to do here is work on not only Tong feeding him, but getting him to basically move onto my hand to eat. Good job. Good boy. There you go. Good boy. That's a good boy. Good boy, buddy. He sometimes likes to go right under this rock. Good boy. There you go. One thing you definitely need to watch for is where you keep your hands when you're feeding him. fat one. Big old fat one. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. That's such a good job. There you go. Let me arms. Oh, there's a big fat one.
Huh?
There's a big fat one in there.
How many does he get?
He gets like 6.
Is there 6 in there?
Okay, like, don't you let that go on me. He is fun hanging.
Yeah.
Pretty cute though, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many was that?
That was 6. 5, 6. Now 6.
I think he likes Dubai roaches.
How many are you giving him?
1 more.
Look at him. Don't be dropping the roaches on my dad.
Danny don't want Dubai roaches on it. Gross. See his little head poking out. Good boy. No, thanks.
Oh,
He lost it. Alright guys, now I got a roach crawling on me somewhere. Its little head poke out.
huh?
He is so gentle with them.
Uh-huh. Daddy, the roach probably under my clothes.
Somewhere in this tub now.
Daddy, he's gonna he just dropped it. I'm gonna look at the roach. Roach. Daddy, do not. Buddy, not to that. Stop.
Good.
Buddy. Buddy. That the boy would put one on this corner.
Good job. Say good boy.
Good boy.
And next, guys, we are going to show you exactly what we mean by the water exercises. It's exactly what it sounds like when me and Natalie described it. It's essentially just a trust exercise where you're going to let them swim around in the tub, the water, whatever, and you're extending your hand into it as a place for them to rest and to build that trust with you that they can use your hand as like a safety net. Only other thing with it is I would say just make sure that the water is like lukewarm. Don't make sure that it's scalding. Make sure that it's not freezing. Just get it nice warm. I mean, he'll either chill with you, or you'll notice that sometimes they may not entirely use your hand, that they just kind of like keep one foot or half their foot still on your hand. And I mean, that's just because they're not fully trusting of you yet, so they're still trying to keep their distance, but also stay out of the water. Kind of like he's doing there, where he's only keeping 1 or 2 feet on me while using his other to run up. Given time, they'll build that trust with you, and I mean, he'll climb right up my arm whenever he's ready. But it really is as simple as that, guys. And let him just use you as a place to rest. Obviously, don't keep them in the water long enough that they're exerting themselves way too much. But especially with like now monitors, mangrove monitors, they love the water. And I mean, they'll swim as much as they want. And if they're that fearful of you, they just absolutely won't use your hand. They'll try to stay away from it. But you're just extending your hand out to them as just a place to rest, as a place to hang out on you, just like he's doing here. And you can sometimes do things like they'll let you pet them or whatever have you while they're in the water. It's a slow but sure process. Like I said, if they're not jumping on you or using you right off the bat, it's just that they're still a little weary of you and not 100% fully trusting you. But as time goes on with everything else, the Tong feeding, positive interactions, it'll all come together in the end. Right, buddy? Right, buddy? Sure.
Daddy, look
Hmm?
at this video. There's animals in this video.
You were such a pretty now, monitor. You were a pretty now, monitor. Main thing is just letting them hear you talk, letting them smell you. Good boy. You can pet him a little bit. Say good boy.
Good boy. I'm gonna leave this like white here so he can climb on it. This is being,
He's so laid back.
yeah. And he puts his belly like this.
What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? You ready?
Yeah.
Don't really. Oh my gosh.
The castle. Oh my god.
Does his nails tickle? Try not to make any like sudden movements.
Is he cooling down?
Oh, he's just chilling on your head. Who's there giving Try not to make like really sudden movements, okay? Or like jerk your head around. So I know Natalie has pinkies on her toes, pinkies on her foot. But please don't eat those pinkies. What you doing, buddy? Stand to the road that way, buddy. King of the castle. Oh, what's he doing? He is like as wide as your head from one ear to the other. Look at that.
Did you see that, Daddy?
Mm-hmm. But we're basically letting him free roam. So he can just
Let
spend
him
some
in
time
the
with
bath.
us.
Let him in the bath.
And we can spend some time with him without stressing him out too much.
Put him in the bath.
He's in there now.
Okay. It takes a little bit for me to shed.
Good. Good boy. Good boy. Remember, no like sudden or quick movements.
But this is my pinky, but he can't eat this pinky.
So that's not an edible pinky.
But my toe.
Where you going, buddy? Please don't claw my face. What you checking out? What you checking out? Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. drip on my head.
Oh, Daddy, I could put this on me so it looks like I have some shit.
Looks like you have scales.
Yeah. Let's see. Daddy, look, I have scales and I have some shed came off of me. Look how pretty I look since all this shed came off.
Yeah.
Guys, what we're doing is feeding this guy. Ooh.
There you go, buddy.
Now you got dust all over your shoulder.
That's alright. Good boy. Good boy.
Is this one good?
Yeah, that's perfect. Woof.
What?
He's a hungry boy.
One more?
Yeah, I'll give him another one.
How many?
Right. We already fed him some earlier, so maybe just one more.
Oh, we might have one more.
That's two.
Buddy. Oh my gosh.
Meal warm in the bathtub. Good boy.
Eat.
Where's that other one? We'll give him one more. Oh. There you go.
I got dust all over your shoulder.
So you made a mess, dude. Made a mess. But we just let him walk around. Let him chill, choose where he wants to go. But we just let him walk around.
Natalie and I certainly hope you guys enjoyed this video, and with what we've done here today, we truly hope that this helps you in taming your pet lizard, don't we?
Yeah. And we tried really hard on this.
We did. We worked very hard on this one, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we definitely hope it pays off for you guys, and certainly let us know if these things work for you. I'd like to know that.
Yeah.
If you guys did enjoy this or find it informative, make sure to leave us a like and consider subscribing, because next week we're pulling out another reptile, right?
And
I already know who it is.
And he's looking dead right now.
He's open. He's awake. Alright guys, but we will see you on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.